Sometimes an indie comes along that nails the look, sound, and feel of a title from our past. Sunset Riders was and is a very fun shoot-'em-up western, and Deathwish Enforcers takes a lot of inspiration from it, while putting its own spin on it with a great blend of 60s and 70s action aesthetics. To my surprise as well, there's a healthy dose of humor here. It's great to look at, has a good soundtrack, fun shoot-'em-up action, and it will most certainly make you laugh. This is easily one of 2023's best surprises. Deathwish Enforcers lifts that great pick-up-and-play feel to those arcade shoot-'em-ups. You get thrown in, there's no nonsense or slow build-up. Right from the start, it's all action until the very end. This feels like a fun quarter muncher that I would play with my father when arcades were still a thing. You select from one of 4 characters, and your objective is to blast your way through several stages, with a boss encounter punctuating each at the end. Besides surviving the onslaught of foes, you are trying to grab as many coins and money as possible to help increase your score. If you like chasing high scores, this will give you another reason to return back to it over and over again. Now, like I said, you have 4 characters to choose from. They each have their own set of characteristics, with some better with speed, power, and their special. Each one of them are based on iconic characters and actors like Dirty Harry and Charles Bronson. What I also liked is how each one has their own unique weapon. Like one uses a revolver, another uses a shotgun, or dual pistols. I really like the shotgun because of the spread it provides. The shooting is satisfying from its sound and impact. Enemies react in satisfying and over-the-top ways. The hits and the sound perfectly fit with what you would expect from an SNES or arcade title like this. Even after beating the game once, I wanted to go back for more shooting action. It's so satisfying to blast away at everyone, and I really like the personality of each of our heroes. If you ever wanted a buddy cop experience featuring Clint Eastwood and Charles Bronson, this is it. Plus this has 4-player local co-op. When it comes to the mechanics, it's very simple and easy to pick up. You have a button for jump, shooting, and your special. Your character moves at a slow walk. This is something that I think some might not like from the outset, because it feels like the gameplay will be deliberately slow when it should feel faster. Now, while I would like to move just a hair faster, the action is frenetic, and the moving speed works fine here for the most part. You also have access to a slide. This is a good way to go right into some cover, or this can be used to dodge some objects that people are trying to push on you. You can shoot diagonally, but you always need to be on the move to do this. This is where I wish I could hold a button and then stay stationary while shooting diagonally. And lastly, the special changes depending on the character, with one dropping a bomb and another letting out lightning waves. Each of the stages have a lot of engaging levels you'll be shooting through. You'll fight through dark city streets, a jungle, a prison, among many others. Enemies range from gunmen, melee foes, TNT throwing girls, and even birds that can kill you with a fecal bomb. A few stages in, you'll fight in a graveyard, and the game then leans more into that fantasy direction by having you now fight all manner of zombie-themed enemies. I was not expecting this at all, and I really liked it. While blasting your way through the levels, you'll need to be on the lookout for thieves as they drop valuable items for you. They range from refilling your special, rapid fire, and making your shots stronger. Most levels are focused on you blasting away at everyone while on foot, but there are a handful of levels that present the action while on a motorcycle. These stages are a fun change-up compared to the regular action. You'll be shooting a lot of henchmen in various vehicles. There's even some objects you need to jump over, like barrels and trees. My favorite part about these levels are the additional explosions you'll see. Deathwish Enforcers has some cool details like shell casings flying around from all the gunfire. What really stands out is how you can hear that ping of each shell casing hitting the ground. So I went into this game blind, so I knew nothing other than the fact that I heard that it was kinda like Sunset Riders. so I wasn't expecting a funny game and was pleasantly surprised with what I found here. This game is honestly really funny, everything from the names of the characters to even the background characters. And even in our very sensitive climate where so many have turned being offended into a sport, this game goes for it, and I loved all the politically incorrect humor. The final boss fight has a great gag. Deathwish Enforcers isn't really focused on an expansive narrative. What story is here is good, with the execution of the humor, personality of the levels, bosses you fight, background characters, along with the ones that you play as. But there is a pretty cool intro cutscene, and just like this game, it's a nice throwback. Deathwish Enforcers is a really good game, but I did notice a few flaws with it. I do wish that there was a way to shoot diagonally without having to move, just to have the option for this, like hold a shoulder button, stand still, or something. The haunted house level is cool from the infusion of horror and zombies, but parts of it feel needlessly cheap. The same can be said for the Jack Nicholson boss fight, which kind of feels a bit stretched out. The final elevator section towards the end is where you're gonna lose a lot of lives. There's way too many guns, and it's hard to tell when you're actually hitting the guys who are stopping the elevator from moving. Now, to the game's credit, there are some unlocks after you beat the game, like a music player, being able to have 99 continues, and a higher difficulty. But I think Deathwish Enforcers could use more unlocks and additional modes. Some of the easy ones that come to mind are a boss rush mode, a level select, and a horde mode would be great. Maybe some of these are planned for future content updates. One last thing I do wish is that it had online co-op, but at the very least you have local options. Now, before we move to the conclusion, I need to give some attention to the soundtrack. It is really good, fuels the action well, and is something I'd listen to outside of the game. Here are a few tracks from the game. Deathwish Enforcers is a really fun game, a welcome surprise, and oddly a game not being featured by anyone. As of writing my script, I haven't seen any reviews from big or small outlets. This is really a shame considering how good this game is. It's one of those rare indies that not only tries to capture what we loved about the past, but it succeeds in the execution in being a new game that would be on par with those classic titles. This feels like a labor of love mixed with the talent to achieve it. Something else I want to make note of is that Deathwish Enforcers does a good job of providing the challenge and maybe even the cheapness of older titles, with the accessibility for people who may not be up to the challenge at first. You can toy with plenty of the settings to give you more or less lives or continues. The balance is done well. I really enjoyed the action and felt the push to play it again after beating it. It's also nice to play something that's a bit down to basics with just good gameplay. No loot, RPG mechanics, or bloated open worlds here, just good old-fashioned action. I highly recommend Deathwish Enforcers. Have you heard or played this game? Let me know in the comments below. If you're interested in being notified of new videos, please hit the subscribe button and bell. And if you would like to support the channel and get early access to content, please check out my Patreon. All of the links will be at the end of this video and within the description. And thank you very much for watching.